Now, say my name.
The Rolling Bad Podcast.
You're goddamn right.
Welcome to the Rolling Bad Podcast, episode number 41. Coming to you from the desolate wastelands of Albuquerque, New Mexico. We're recording on 17th of February, and I am your host, Elric Edge. And with me is...
your host, Bill Costello.
Just the two of us today.
Yeah, it's so sad.
James is taking his old lady to some super swanky hotel here in...
that we can only dream about affording. Yep.
That's right. We have nice things in Albuquerque.
Yeah, we wanted to. Yeah.
So, just two of us building castles in the sky.
Yeah.
So today's show, we're going to do all our normal stuff, talk about all kinds of new things that are coming out that have been previewed, talk about a little bit of hobby we've done. I don't think we've done any games, really.
No, we're going to kind of skip over battle a little bit because we have a pretty fat lore section.
Yeah, we're going to talk about the Legions of Nagash. We're going to delve into malign portents a bit.
Just a tad.
Yeah. And then we want to touch on a big subject that seems to have come up, slow play in the hobby.
Yeah.
In general, not just Age of Sigmar, but...
really all across the...
Yeah. Give our thoughts on it, some potential pros and cons of what can be done and whatnot. I think it's a conversation worth having. We need to try to figure something out. So
yeah, it's a big enough thing now that, well, obviously it's going to be talked about because it's all over everything you look at.
Yeah.
So we'll just throw our 2 cents in.
Yeah, it's a subject that I've noticed has been coming up on a lot of, since I listened to a lot of both AOS and 40K podcasts.
Yeah.
Pretty much ever since the LVO, it's become a pretty big talking point. So we're going to throw our 2 cents in on it.
Yeah.
All right, let's do a show.
All right, let's... The Realm of the New Dawn, where there's not really a whole bunch of new stuff that we didn't talk about last time when the White Dwarf dropped. As of now, you can get the Necromunda stuff. The Gang War 2 book is out. The new maps are out. The Orlac gang and all their attendant cards, dice, and other things are all available. The Shadespire, the dwarves, the Fireslayers are out, and the rats are out, along with all their attendant accessories. Something new that came up for pre-order this week that I hadn't seen or we missed when we did the White Dwarf thing was Knave Blacktalon, the Stormcast Eternal, is now in a box by herself that you can purchase.
Blightwar character. Did they make Horticulus
Slimix?
Slimix, yeah.
I believe he's available as a separate item.
Okay.
I think he was already made available.
Still no Korgoraths.
That's right.
Or Lord Relictors.
Yeah. Weird.
Well, I have no idea why.
I don't know. Because they would sell like
hotcakes. Especially well, yeah, both of them would. I mean, especially Korgoraths.
Yeah, you can buy a box of 5 Gryph-hounds, but you can't buy Korgoraths. So that's kind of strange. But, I mean, they probably have a reason.
Also, speaking of Stormcast, the Get Started Vanguard box is out.
Yeah.
As well as the Kharadron Overlord box.
Those are up for pre-order, right, this week?
Okay, yeah.
Because they drop next week, I believe. They're available the 24th, but you can pre-order them today.
Yeah, that Vanguard box is sweet.
I know, gosh. Ugh. If I didn't have Stormcast coming out the, Stormcast holes, I would be like, wow, that's the box to get.
Yeah.
Because, that is...
I really like the Vanguard Chamber stuff. Yeah. And apparently there's... I mean, we won't do a whole Lore of Whispers on it, or Realm of Whispers, but there are people batting around the idea that apparently there's like a siege engine something coming for Stormcast later this year.
A war machine of some kind.
Yeah. So, and I know I crap on Stormcast release. I love every one of them.
They are amazing.
Fantastic models. Yeah, whatever.
But when you look at what's not coming out for other things and we get a Stormcast flavor of the week, you do kind of get, whatever.
Right.
But you're right. You look at them and you're just like, oh my God, they're cool.
Yeah, it's still going to look amazing, I'm sure. Oh, well. So, in other news, Dawn of War 3 got shut down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we were just kind of talking about that. There's a sadness to that, but a gladness too.
Yeah. There have been several videos and interviews of the guys from GW, who are in charge of IP licensing to video game companies, talking about there's a lot of stuff in the works.
Oh, yeah.
So, and I mean, if you look at it, there's the VR game Battle of Cal that we talked about. Yep. There's Space Hulk Tactics that's coming out.
And it looks like it's cool. Very cool.
Yeah. I mean, there was the Battlefleet Gothic 2, which looks unreal.
I know.
12 factions in it. And,
that's like, hook me up.
The Space Hulk.
What was the name of that?
Oh, it's the first-person shooter one that came out for PC, and they were talking about how it's going to console. Right. It looks like it's coming very, very soon to console finally. Nice. But not only that, but the PC version will get an overhaul. Yeah. So there will be all kinds of unlockable skins.
Right.
All kinds of cool stuff. If you want to know any more about a lot of what's coming out for video games, check out Chapter Master Valric on YouTube. He is in the know on a lot of that stuff.
Covers it all.
Yeah. So
one other thing that you can order this week, and I know it's out of order, but in the made to order section, they're putting out Cal Jericho and Scabs again, and Mad Donna Olanti, the 2 Necromunda characters.
Old school stuff.
3, old school. And if you look at the website, it's so funny because they have the old paint jobs on them. It's not like a heavy metal paint job. Well, it's not what we would consider today a heavy metal paint job. They look like they were just, So, but I mean, if Cal Jericho is your thing or Mad Donna is your thing, you can get them. And there's a countdown timer right there. They're getting too in love with these countdown timers. Right. But there's a 6-day, this is a made to order thing. They're going to take X amount of orders. They're going to make X amount of models, and that's it. So if that's something you're interested in for your Necromunda, do it like now before you hear this podcast, because by the time you hear it, you can't get it.
Right.
So why did we even cover that, Bill? Okay.
I got to say that it's getting harder and harder for me to ignore Necromunda. It looks so good. And then the way that GW is like releasing the gangs. Yeah. And then Forge World is doing like the individual cool characters. Like that squat guy looks so. I can't wait to see what some people do for conversions for like KO and for all kinds of cool stuff.
It just screams mods.
Oh, yeah.
I was at the store today and I saw the board for Necromunda. I didn't buy the Orlok gang because I still have the 2 other gangs I haven't touched. Yeah. But I bought the board and then the new Gang War book, just because I know it's not going to go out anytime soon, but I want to have it on hand in case we decide to do it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's fantastic stuff. Also, the beta rules for Adeptus Custodes, the Forge World stuff, has been introduced for the 40K release. There's not a whole lot in it. There's the main battle tank, the transport, and then 2 Dreadnought variants. Right. So it's not all the crazy stuff that Custodes have, but this is very clearly beta rules. Yeah. So if you have Custodes, you got those models, try them out, and I guess let Forge World have some feedback on it. I think it's sweet that they're doing that.
Well, it's a lot better than the last approach.
Yeah.
So it's awesome.
And then we have a little teaser. Did you see the little teaser?
I love that. I nearly cried when I saw the end of that. I was like, oh my God, it's been a while. What the hell's that goldfish doing there?
Yeah. So, I mean, by the time obviously this goes out, it'll be around for a little bit, but GW put out a video of a sunken ship in a fish tank with a question mark. So, of course, speculation has been swirling. There's a very solid rumor that this is Atlantean stylized sea elves, like the high elf variant, which would make a lot of sense as Ulthuan was always kind of Atlantis in the old world. And now you can take it even further. You can take the high elves away from that Tolkien-esque feel and make them Age of Sigmar.
Yeah, they'd fit real well in the realms because that's something they haven't done yet.
Exactly. So. And you could bring in their god Mathalan, I believe is the god of the sea in the high elf pantheon, something like that. Yep. So you can really infuse it with that stuff. But there's also been pictures going around, and I didn't catch this when we were at the LVO, and they showed, remember when they trolled us with the Battletome Fishman? Right. And they said it was just a joke, but if you look at the very bottom, in parentheses, it says something like, or not. Or not. This is not a joke, or something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah, so.
We just don't know. Yeah. Or it could just be the Man of War release.
Yeah, hey, Dreadfleet 2, or Dreadfleet Part 2.
As much as I love Dreadfleet, Okay.
Mine is still.
Let's just go back to Man of War and say that was a really great game. And
I would absolutely love to have. That's what I hated about Dreadfleet. Is like you couldn't tie it into your games of Warhammer at all, or a campaign or something.
Yeah, there was nothing.
That. So I'm good with whatever. I'm over the moon about the idea of another old army getting an AOS feel like the Karajan Overlords did.
That would be great.
That'd be fantastic. Or Man of War in the Mortal Realms. I'm down with whatever.
Yeah. That would be so cool.
Yeah.
So
very exciting.
Yeah, I mean it's all of this stuff hints towards and they're also keeping up with that idea that they said that releases this year were going to be stuff that was going to knock your socks off.
Yeah.
So
I think they've done
one of the things they said there at the LVO preview announcement was the stuff that's coming out is going to make you happy, whatever game you play.
The 40K orc inside me is still a little cynical.
Yeah.
A little cynical. It's all right. It's all right.
Oh, that's
the rest
funny.
of it's so good, though. And
yeah.
I mean, we'll talk about Legions of Nagash later, but I'm very hyped about that book.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
All right, let's move on to
I think so. Let's go to creation.
I don't think we've really missed anything else.
I don't think
Probably. Who knows?
Yeah, we always do, so that's what editing is for.
The Realm of Creation, where we're going to talk about what we've been up to in the hobby. So, I'll go real quick. Unfortunately, not a whole lot. Managed to get... I sat down the other day for the first chance to paint that I've had in quite some time. Got about 3 models done, and the power went out.
Yep.
I was
That's
just
so
like,
not fair.
Really? So I sat there in the dark by myself, and then...
Someone with your experience should have enough finger feel to know what's what on a model, though. Really.
Yeah.
You've been in the hobby long enough.
My painting's so poor, you probably wouldn't tell I painted it.
See?
In the dark or not. And then about the time I had to go pick up my daughter, that's about when the power decided to come back on. I was like, oh.
It's not appropriate, yeah.
Fair enough.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I haven't been up to too much. I'm going to try to get, like I said, try to get my KO done by Mile High, but that's in 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Probably not going to happen at this point. Doesn't mean I'm going to stop. I'm going to keep painting them. I want to be able to put my KO on our battle reports and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
But I do have to say, I just got my massive death order in.
Yay!
Yeah.
That was a pretty big order, too.
It was a good size order.
That counts. That's hobby.
Yeah, that's a pretty healthy chunk of hobby.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, I'm itching to do that stuff pretty bad.
Yeah.
So, but I'm trying to stay the course, finish an army of KO before I move on.
I hear you.
But what have you been up to?
Well, I got a few interruptions this week because reasons. And but I finished a lot of my Nurgle. A lot of it. I got like 3.
Oh, yeah, you got a lot of built models back there. Holy cow.
Over here, I got everybody. The only thing I have left to build and magnetize is one more Great Unclean one. And the Unclean one is completely magnetized, so he can be anything.
Oh, okay. He's Rodigus currently.
Yeah, he's Rodigus right now because that's the first thing I thought I needed. But he can be magnetized for any of the really great part about that kit is each one of the arms and each one of both arms and the heads use all separate parts.
Right.
So you can build all of them and magnetize them, and it's super easy. So
nice.
There is a video out there on YouTube, and like if you search magnetizing a Great Unclean one, be careful watching that video and doing it the way he does it. It's a unique way of magnetizing things by just sort of holding the magnet near the plastic and squirting some glue on it and hoping it holds, and then building up a basis underneath it with baking soda.
What?
Yeah, you don't know that trick?
No.
Okay, so if you need to build something and there's no plastic structure around it,
okay,
you can just glue it in place, with super glue, and then you take little spoonfuls of baking soda and put it around it, and then drip a little bit of super glue on there, and super glue reacts with baking soda and makes it into a rock. It literally makes cement. Be careful because there's some fumes attached to that, but nothing, it's not like a chemical reaction filling your house, but you don't want to have your face right over it. And then you just keep doing that in successive stages. You just build up more and more structure around it. But that, to me, if you're not real sure about what you're doing, that's a really
I have never heard that.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You make cement out of super glue and baking soda. That's how you build structure around stuff that you need structure around.
Be damn.
Yeah. So if you like there's if you look at the Great Unclean One's arms, they're hollow when you put the thing. Now, what I did was I filled it with a little bit of plastic putty until it was solid. Yeah, let it dry for a day and then just drill it and bam, there goes your magnet. But his approach is just as valid using the baking soda and super glue. But there's you can really screw that one up. And once you have that structure built, it is cement. You're going to be doing serious damage taking that stuff if you have to remove it for any reason. Like you didn't set it correctly.
So it sounds like it would just be easier to use modeling epoxy.
Yeah.
Like green stuff or brown stuff or gray stuff, whatever.
It's to build your own little structure or even, just glue in a piece of plastic card in there to brace it and then put the magnet on that is easier. I'm not saying he didn't do it right. He did it really well. It's just his process is really involved. So there's better ways to magnetize it.
Fair enough.
So, and then let me see. I repainted some Stormcast for Shadespire. And like I said, I just built tons of Nurgle, and I finally got in my thing for the Steinleres primer, so I'll be able to start shooting primer on those and start to get the painting done.
Think you're going to have it done in 2 weeks?
I hope. I will at least have it base coated in, 3 colored so that it's, presentable on tabletop. It might not be where I want it to be at the end, but it'll be presentable. I won't embarrass the TOs up there.
So, okay, question. What are your thoughts regarding this army? As you prepare it, as opposed to how you were feeling about your Seraphon or your Beastclaw Raiders, or even way back when you first got into AOS with Stormcast Eternals, because all those other 3 projects have kind of died.
Oh yeah.
And do you feel like your Stormcast or your Nurgle project after Mile High Massacre might peter out as the next new hotness comes around, or, maybe you'll jump back to the Seraphon, maybe the Death, since Legions of Nagash is so delicious. Do you think you're going to ride this Nurgle train for a while?
I kind of like the Nurgle train just because I really like the way the army works and its dual purpose. A lot of the stuff that I'm building now will go into my 40K Death Guard stuff. Yeah, fair enough. So I'm actually killing 2 birds with 1 stone with this by doing this army. The flip side of that is I made a conscious decision to change from the Seraphon I was working on because I didn't want to rush the Seraphon. I'm really having fun building that army and painting it up little by little and not rushing, because when I rush, I don't do a good job.
Seraphon are definitely an army that shows the time you put into it.
Exactly. And, I really love my Bastiladon, and I love some of my other critters that I've done. And I've taken my time. I had no pressure to, I have to get this done by event X. And I don't want to do that with Seraphon. I want to paint each one of the knights separately by itself, not batch paint them. Okay. Because I want each one to look slightly different. And, like a lizard should, with a little identity.
So your Bretonnian Seraphon?
Yeah, exactly.
Each knight looks different.
I'm going to name each one of them. And,
hey, there you go.
Yeah.
Going to have skink handlers. And
yeah, well, I'm going to have a lot of stuff. And, I was really trying to crank out that Balewind. And I realized, no, I really want to take my time on that.
Absolutely, yeah, that thing was badass.
Yeah, I really kind of like it. And I don't want to, I was going to paint one of the snakes brown, one black, one yellow, and do a quick something down their back. No, I don't. I want to make these snakes look like snakes. And that's when I kind of thought, you know what? No, I have a lot of this Nurgle stuff already done. Why don't I just go full bore? Because really all I needed was the Great Unclean Ones. Now, I found the Glockkin the other day at the Warhammer World, or Warhammer store opening here in town, which I'm so happy about. I can't see straight.
Right. We didn't talk about that.
We didn't cover that. We should have.
Yeah.
Let's do that under creation, because that's kind of
all right. Yeah, we'll just roll right into it.
Yeah.
So, we finally got a Warhammer store here in New Mexico.
Right here in our town.
Yeah, Rio Rancho, which is, it's a suburb of Albuquerque at this point. It was awesome. And
it was madness when it opened.
So many people there. We had the mayor there.
I was there 2 hours before the opening, and I was still third in line.
Yeah.
When you got there, about a half hour before the opening, there was probably 50 people in line.
Yeah. I think all told, there's probably over 100 people in that store.
Yeah, right at the opening. And I guess by the end of the day, there was 200 and something unique customers that came through.
Yeah.
That bought something, not that even just looked around. Yeah, the mayor was there. The mayor did a ribbon cutting. And I mean, he was blown away because when he went into the store before the opening to talk to the manager guys, when he came back out, he was like, what is going on? Yeah. And then he called his people to bring photo people, a camera crew, and the ribbon stuff, because he wanted to do it upright. Because they had him in the Chamber of Commerce, they were going to give plaques to the company, to the store for opening. They like to treat Rio Rancho is different. They actually like to treat new businesses like like they matter.
It's a suburb of Albuquerque.
It's not Albuquerque. They probably would have tried to close them on day one.
Yeah, And the guy's car got stolen.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, no. I mean, Albuquerque's a wonderful place.
Oh,
it's
beautiful. Beautiful. Yeah. It's a destination city. It really is.
Vacation spot.
Sure. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. I mean, it was so crazy to see that line going down the parking lot to the point to where the Albertsons half a block down was like, hey, can you guys bend around so people can get into the store to do their shopping?
It was intense, man. It was really cool.
It was great.
And in my mind, it brought up something that we'll talk about on a different show, but just to touch on it real quick. How many people were there that don't ever come into the store regularly?
Or, play in any of the clubs.
Or people that I recognized who used to come but don't come anymore.
Yeah.
And I have an idea. I know why.
Yeah.
In some of those instances. And that might be an interesting but touchy subject that we could jump into on a different show. We're not going to do it here.
Not today.
But it was just awesome to see. I mean, if you've never been into a GW store, try it sometime. It's so cool.
It's a lot of fun.
It is. Yeah. And I saw real quick why you would be compelled to want to spend at full retail because, they had the fancy book with the cards and all. I don't know. It just very quickly wrapped me up.
It does. They reach out and they grab you, and they even just the design of the stores is smart. It's efficient, and it's for the order I did for the Shadespire stuff. I had it delivered to that store, and the beauty of it was they shipped it on Tuesday. And they notified me that it was at the store on Friday, and the manager would release it according to his store rules. Now, I didn't care. I wasn't going until today anyway, but I knew it was there.
Yeah.
And there was no, I wonder if my FLGS is going to have my order, because sometimes it doesn't come in until Tuesday. And, no, it was there.
And also, I ordered all my desk stuff from GamesWorkshop.com.
Right.
And it did not arrive for like a week and a half.
Yeah.
Yeah, this will speed up the process a lot.
Yeah, and he was telling me that if I order something, that isn't a pre-order, I can usually order it, and 2 to 3 days later, he will have it in the store.
Yep.
So, and that just to me that's worth it. But we're on the map now. We have a GW store, so we are becoming a destination city. We really are.
Yep.
Yep.
Pretty sweet.
Yep. So I think that's all of our creation.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. So you want to roll right into battle?
Real quick.
Real quick.
All right. I want to throw this out there. You can cut this out if you want.
That's always a good. Oh, yeah.
So I brought it up real quick in our chat. But how about after the Mile High Massacre, I own a Nagash model.
That's right.
You own a Nagash model.
That's right.
How about we give each other a month?
Oh, boy.
To build and paint
Nagash.
Our Nagash models, and then we can present them on Twitter or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
And let the community vote.
I love it.
You want to do that?
Oh, yeah. It's on.
All right. After Mile High Massacre, which is in 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
So in 6 weeks from today, we will be presenting, hopefully, our built and painted Nagash.
Nagash models. Oh, this is going to be... I got to whoop out those skills.
Yeah. Oh. All right.
I love it.
Good stuff.
All right.
Yeah, let's roll into, do we have? Oh, yeah, we would give a shout out to the Realm of Battle. So let's jump in.
Okay.
The Realm of Battle, where neither of us are going to talk about individual games we played, but there's some big movements going on in the Mortal Realms globally?
Yeah.
Worldwide?
Yeah.
Why don't you tell us about it, Bill?
Well, the Malign Portents campaign started on the 15th.
Okay.
So everybody that plays AOS, you can be a part of it. And it's kind of like the old summer campaign from last year,
Seasons of War or whatever.
Yeah, Season of War. Same sort of rules apply. You can buy models and paint them up and get points that way. You can, of course, play games and get points that way. If you go to the Malign Portents website, you can see there's also a decision tree that is going to affect the outcome, which I think is kind of an interesting twist on how to run a worldwide campaign.
Okay.
It kind of insulates the game from the decision making of where it's going to go from here. So that's really kind of the way it kind of works is you have 3 choices, 3 different icons that you can choose. And you can choose the icon as you go forward based on what the dilemma is for that 2-week period. So it kind of, you're getting your points for, building models, painting models, buying models, and playing games. But the ultimate decision isn't coming down to how many Chaos players are there and how often are they winning, or, are Stormcast kicking butt in a certain area. So, and that's the way the Season of War ran.
It was the 4 allegiances.
The allegiances.
Or the Grand Alliances.
Yeah, Grand Alliances. And Order won that one.
Well, yeah. Just like I can almost guarantee you Order would win this if it was based on
if it was just
Alliances.
Strictly based on, games played. I think it would be a run between Order and Chaos.
Yeah, which is what it was last time.
Yeah.
But ultimately Order pulled it out.
And I think that's what they kind of saw was that the meta right now, worldwide meta, might not be so super supportive of what people really want to see.
Yeah.
So by separating the overall victories from what people are voting for, you kind of get a feel of where the community wants to go. And I think that's from a marketing standpoint, it's like a free survey. I mean, really, it is. You're involving people. They're getting to play games. They're getting to accrue points and all this other stuff towards the campaign outcome. And at the same time, you're gleaning a bunch of demographic information for different regions and where do they want to see things go.
Yep.
So I think it serves them on so many levels because it gives them data to work with to know what to release, to what to concentrate on. At the same time, they're giving people a venue to play all kinds of fun games with a neat rule system with the Malign Portents stuff. And I mean, it's a win-win-win. Everybody wins in this. There's nobody that's left out in the cold, so it's not dumpster firestorm where, if you're BCR, you can't play. Yeah. So I'm kidding. God, GW, don't hate me. But come on, I was on the BCR kick and you kicked me in the BCR things.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's how Malign Portents is kind of working. And go to the website and really look at the details. It's really very cool how they're doing it. I think they really snatched on a grand idea here, and I kind of hope they take this and expand on it. I'm kind of hoping that this is what the 40K thing looks like. I mean, not this, Malign Portents thing, but that kind of framework is sort of where they go forward.
I'm sure the first big campaign for 40K is going to be pretty sweet.
Pretty
and even better, probably even better because I think about the time they launch it will be the time that all the books will have,
every book will be out.
Every army will have a book, an update.
See, and that will be the dangerous thing too, because what if the orc book comes out and it's way overpowered, in that first 2-week period, and orcs just sweep everything because everyone has an orc army.
Yeah.
What if it just sweeps? Now all of a sudden you're artificially changing the future.
No.
Based on
orcs always win anyways.
Okay, yeah, we know that, but and literally if it was done right now, Chaos Soup would kind of be winning the campaign. I mean, it's just 40K? Kind of, it's kind of the way the mix goes
Eldar
right now. Well, sure, Eldar would do well, but Chaos Soup would do pretty well too.
Sure, yeah, and there's some Imperial Soup
and really that might be artificial because we haven't gotten all the facts yet. Yeah. We're still only 8-9 months into the game. There's still some balance things that need to come out, and they're hitting them as quick as the big problems come up. They're squashing them.
And I would imagine with Drukhari, Necrons, and Tau coming out, that's going to shift the meta around a lot.
Yeah. So, there's some things that have to happen. So I'm kind of hoping that when they do the 40K campaign, it's going to be along this road Play the games, buy the stuff, make your models, paint them, accrue the points, get the cool stuff. But we'll also be sort of separating the where the story goes from here from the game results, which is what, that was the big problem with the Eye of Terror campaign way back in the day, where here, let's just drop this book that lets chaos do everything, and then we'll see where the story goes. Well, I'll tell you where the story goes.
Whoops.
Abaddon wins, Emperor's dead.
Yeah.
Okay. So also going on right now, and you'll be able to look up these results and stuff right now, the Rise of Empires thing is going on in London right now, which is a really amazing narrative event. If you Twitter, if you Facebook, go to the folks that are involved in this game right now. All the big British names are there. Jimbo 9 Jimbo, all the guys. Check them out.
That was being put on by Hobby Hammer.
Hobby Hammer is, they're running the show. The tables look absolutely amazing.
Yeah, that wall is...
I nearly died when I read your comment this morning.
Yeah.
Poor Mark. No wonder he left the chat. He's like, I don't need to deal with this. Oh, man. But yeah, their terrain looks just stupendous, and I can imagine those guys are having an absolute blast.
Oh yeah,
doing it. So.
Those guys in England know how to do it up at a narrative event.
It's fantastic, and just the layout of the room looks like there's a lot of linkage.
Yeah.
Between the tables and what have you. So more power to them. That looks like a lot of fun. So yeah, Rise of Empires, by the time you hear this, it'll be well over, but go back and look through the pictures and take a look at how they brought it off, because like I said, they know what they're doing.
Yep.
So we're going to kick off and go into lore. Won't that be fun? The Realm of Lore. Where, as we said earlier, we're going to cover a couple of topics. We're going to cover the Nagash, or the lore of Nagash, not the book itself. But first, we're going to touch a little or a lot on slow play and what we think are some reasons and what we think are some fixes and what we think are overreactions and underreactions and
everything in between.
Yeah, kind of.
So hopefully within the next 30 minutes to an hour, we will have this entire thing solved.
Yes.
And we will be ready to tackle world hunger. Okay.
And if everyone in the world will listen to this and just take what we say,
yep,
it's done. It's a done deal.
So, all right, why don't you go ahead and kick us off?
Okay, so I wrote down a whole bunch of notes about this game, about slow play. And the idea is slow play only exists in tournaments. And I'm not so certain that that's true, because even when you're playing Garage Hammer, House Hammer, there are some times that you get together for a game and you have a Saturday afternoon. And your view of Saturday afternoon might be different from mine. Yeah. My idea might be we get together at 1, and whenever we're done, we're done. You might have something to do at 4. So you have to get this thing wrapped up in 3 hours. And we have to make sure that we know that. So you really do have to talk to each other. And that feeds into the whole thing of, don't be rude. Make sure you know what you're both expecting out of the game. When you're in a tournament situation, it's a lot easier. You're told you have 2.x hours or, however long to do this round. Period. End of story. One of the things that I was thinking about in terms of slow play is that the TOs and the judges have a pretty big part in all of this. And there's a lot of facets to it. There's a lot of things the TOs can do to help with this. One of the things is, have a big clock that everybody can see or something so everybody can see, because not everybody wears a watch. Not everybody has their iPhone set for the right time. Hell, sometimes people have traveled 6 time zones and they're not even sure what time it is.
Right.
Where they're at. So even if it comes down to just a projector up on a wall with the current time and the round time. I know the guys up in Denver, they have a projector that shoots up on a blank wall that shows the round time, not the current time, but the round time.
Oh, it's counting down to the end of the round.
Yeah, and it's perfect. You look up and go, "Oh, Jesus, I need to pick it up." So that kind of stuff is real helpful. TOs, judges, that you get used to kind of saying, "Okay, we have 1 hour left, 30 minutes left, 15 minutes to dice down." Why not call out every 20 minutes? You've been playing for 20 minutes.
Not only that, but I noticed at the LVO, Scott would get on the intercom and give a countdown, and the majority of the people playing had no idea that he just did it. And I think it's due to, one, just the sheer noise level in the room. And two, there are so many announcements going on all day for 40K that one more thrown in. I think the AOS players just kind of had already phased that stuff out as background noise. And when you stand there, and even if you get up on a chair and scream, Age of Sigmar players, 1 hour, you know, it's, you might have a hell of a voice, but when there's 700 people in a hall,
you're drowned out.
Yeah. So that's definitely a very good idea. Is trying to make the time readily available. Because even if you did it, you know, like at LVO is another great example, and we'll probably use it a lot as an example. Even if you did it on the BCP app, that still means guys got to pull out their phone and check the app to make sure the timer's working. Also, and this isn't a dig or anything, but what happens if the app crashes? You know, everybody just lost their timer. It's, you know, so. Yeah, it's just something simple, a simple projection up onto a wall on a great big conference hall like that.
There's plenty of room.
You know, and you could do the logos too, 40K logo,
put the
Age of Sigmar,
all the different logos.
You know,
when you're not playing a game, you could have the next round time up there, and you know, all kinds of things. So there's things you can do at any level of gaming.
Sure.
So, and I'm not saying that they need to do that. It's just it would be super helpful.
Yeah.
The other thing a TO can do, and this goes into planning your event, there's always that decision tree about, do you publish your scenarios or do you hold them, you know, close to the pocket until everybody gets there and spring them on them on the day? Well, if you spring them on them on the day, you have to understand you're going to get some slow play, because people have to spend 15 minutes reading the scenario and understanding the intricacies. And we have this thing going through the community now to have not just the scenario victory conditions, but we have secondary objectives and some tertiary objectives. Maybe we've added scheme cards or something. And I love all of those things. I think they add a great element to the game. I looked at the pack that Scott did for LVO, and I thought that was some really neat scoring stuff he had in there. The other thing I thought was, this is going to add a lot of time to the game.
Very dense.
Because I have to be looking not just at how do I win this, but, am I able to score these 2 points for this? As well as, I can get that point for that. I need to move, you know, so all of these things that you add to your scenarios, when you don't use the book scenarios, you have to understand you're engendering slow play. The LVO 40K scenarios, now these guys have carefully crafted those scenarios to be super even. They have play tested the you-know-what out of them. But again, they're different from what people are playing at home. Now, they sit there and they hawk on it on their podcast, on all their media outlets. Hey, play the scenario packs, play the scenarios before you get here so you know what you're getting on. So, and that's true. If you have the opportunity to play the scenarios, play them so you know what you're looking at. Scott put the pack out. Reese and Frankie put their packs out early enough that you could play every one of those games before you got to the event. So you should know what you're up against. But as a TO, you also have to know that half the crowd didn't read your pack.
More than half.
Because, the people that are coming up with questions like, can I bring this in my army? On the day, they didn't read your pack.
Right.
So, everybody has to do their little part. To get away from the TOs and what they should be doing, on the person's side, maybe when you're kind of playing the games, kind of look at how you're doing it. How are you preparing? Now, we're kind of getting into that territory of, are people slow playing for a reason? Are they using it as a method to win? And I would like to think that that's not happening, that people aren't that way.
Yeah.
But we all know that I live in a world of rainbows and unicorns. So maybe there does need to be a sportsmanship penalty for slow play. And I think that if you have any scenario that involves progressive scoring, where, you score at the end of each one of your rounds, if there's ever an odd number of rounds, the guy who got shorted on the round should not get penalized, and the other guy should. Because if we play a 2.5 turn game and you got the extra half a turn, it's not really fair, is it?
Yeah, and I know some people might say, like, well, just do it so that half a turn doesn't count.
Right.
But it might be difficult to remember exactly what happened on that half a turn.
And if they're not writing it down religiously and keeping track of it, there's so many things. But God, if you're playing a progressive scenario, again, you need to be, as a TO, you need to be calling out that time and telling people, and I know Scott was doing it, don't start another turn. You don't have time. You know, it was the 40K guys were doing it too.
Oh yeah. The
don't
40K guys are pretty hardcore
another turn.
Well, this definitely brings up one of the major points that I wanted to talk about is sports in general, and how I really feel like in some capacity it needs to be a part of events. Mm-hmm. I know there are a lot of people that, especially on the 40K side, who don't enjoy it because of chipmunking and all this other crap. But the thing is, it doesn't have to be an elaborate system. You know, it doesn't even need to be some big crazy checklist of all these other potentially subjective things.
Yep.
Just having, I feel, honestly, just having some form of a sportsmanship score is going to change the overall tone.
Yes.
Because even if it's something like how we did it the year before at LVO, when John from GW was running it, in that in order to win the event, it doesn't matter if you won all your games, you had to get a best opponent vote.
That's right.
Which some people I know are going to be like, that is insane, blah, blah, blah.
No,
the thing is, if you know that going into an event and you really are there to try to win the event, you're not going to slow play.
Right.
If that is one of your tactics. And you better believe that for some top players, it is a tactic.
Yep.
Because they know that their army performs well in only 2 or 3 turns.
In the first 2 turns.
As opposed to going the whole game.
Yep.
Because their army is fragile or whatever. But if I know that I have to get the best opponent vote from at least one of these guys that I smash, then I'm going to have to give them a full game and give them an opportunity.
Yep.
So I'm not saying there, and the thing about sports is there's no perfect system. We have to all accept that. There is a level of subjectivity that will always be involved. There's always going to be groups of people that are going to vote for their buddies.
Sure.
Same thing with paint. And I understand that's always going to be one of the big things that people use against soft scores. But what would you rather have? The potential that somebody, chipmunks or whatever, which I don't think is nearly as common as people think it is, or to go spend a ton of money to play an event and then half your games or more, you only get to turn 2, maybe turn 3, because some dude's just staring there slack-jawed at his army.
And you're playing your final turn army where you require those 4 and 5 turn games.
Yeah.
And you never even have a chance.
So you got 6 games, but they weren't really games.
But they weren't really fun.
What would you, you're going to have to kind of make a choice, I think. And I really do believe that sports is one of the big things that we could do because as evidence, I look at the UK scene, and slow play is not something that you hear.
They don't deal with it
over there. It may come up. I'm not saying it doesn't. Okay. So I'm sure some people could be like, oh, well, so-and-so did this at such and such tournament. Okay.
Yeah, but that's it. They talk about it a lot when it happens.
Yeah. But
a thing.
Sports and paint are an integral part of the hobby and the tournament scene.
Yep.
Regardless of the theoretical competition level of whatever event it is.
Yeah.
You know, it's there. So I really feel like that is one of the big steps we could take in order to resolve this issue. But
it's a huge step, and I hate saying it, but I absolutely agree with you on that.
Well, let's talk about, because we got some other things that, regardless if we agree with them or whatever, are definitely ideas that constantly get thrown up. So,
So yeah, there's a lot of ideas out there to fix it, and you know, some people think chess clocks are the ultimate answer to this, and on the face of it, they do seem like the perfect answer because they give you immediate feedback about where you're at, and it's verifiable. You can call the TO over and say, look, he's hit time and I've only had 1 turn. What's going to happen here? And the TO can, basically judge, well, you know what, this guy hosed you over,
so boom.
And so you get the win. Okay. But the flip side of that is those chess clocks are really intimidating for a lot of people. Super, super intimidating. And they also lead to games that are super boring because if you do time out and you go to robot mode where all you're doing is making saves, you might as well just call the game. I mean, there's no point in playing it out. You're just making saves and removing models at that point, and it just hurts. And I think if you started doing chess clocks all over the place, you would see you would see a large number of people choose to not go anymore to tournaments. And I think there's far better answers than death clocks.
Yeah, I mean, because this kind of rolls into your second point of like timed rounds.
Well, I put that whole chart on there, not so much to call it out, but just to give an idea of if you have a 2.5 hour round and you guys spend, and the two people spend 30 minutes setting up, which kind of, some armies set up really fast. A 1-drop Sylvaneth might take, 10 minutes to set up. It's going to average out to about 30 minutes. If you look at a 6-round scenario, in order to get all 6 rounds in, each player gets 10 minutes for their portion of the turn. I can't get through an average hero phase with Beast Claw Raiders in 10 minutes, and there's one thing for me to do. Okay, could you imagine me playing Tzeentch? You think I slow played you on the stream? If I'd have been playing Tzeentch, buddy, we'd still be there.
Yeah.
Okay, and Rob would be, dead.
Yeah, so kind of my counter to this thing, because clocks is something that comes up like crazy. And my problem with it is, especially the death clock thing, I feel like all it would do is narrow the meta even more.
Right.
So what do you do against an army? Say like you're playing Stormcast Eternals, and your first turn is pretty much always 30 seconds long.
Right.
Because most of your stuff is your deployment or whatever.
Celestial
realm.
You
put a bunch of your stuff in the Celestial Realm. You put a handful of characters down. You try to hide them real quick. And that's it. So your first turn is like 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Then your second turn, everything drops in, and you got to measure where it all goes. You got to make sure it can fit.
Yep.
So your second round takes 25 minutes.
Yeah.
So all told, between 2 rounds, you didn't really go over what your time
you kind
had
of
been.
averaged out, right?
But your second round is ridiculously long if you're trying to follow a death clock or something like that, or a 10-minute per player. Per round.
Yeah, and I don't agree. I don't agree with that. 10-minute per.
There's people that are going to that actually do use this as a system. Yeah,
and it's not fair.
They propose it as a system,
right?
And so, or what if you're somebody who plays Cunning Rock? And your first 2 turns are going to take forever until you kill the other, half the other person's army.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden the turns speed up a little more because there's just not as much to be shot, or they punched you in the face and you don't have much of an army left, so you don't have as many dice to roll.
Right.
My problem is I think all it would encourage is for people to bring smaller elite armies. And I mean, you think the meta is weird, stagnant and tight now.
It would become more.
Yeah. It's like, okay, well, I will just play 18 Skyfires.
Yeah.
Because it's not going to take me that long to roll the dice to shoot you off. And then I'll roll my spells, and I can do that in 10 turns.
Sure.
Or 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Or whatever. And then it's your turn with whatever you have left.
Yeah.
With your Skyfires, because that's what you brought.
Because you're going to bring them too.
I know it's, we're harping on Tzeentch and stuff, but I think it's a great example.
It becomes very easy target.
Yeah. So I don't think chess clocks and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think those are the do-all answer. Yeah, they have a couple of obvious pluses, but the minuses that they bring are manifold. When you look at a person, in a 2.5 hour round, and you say you have, 75 minutes each?
Yeah.
And depending on how things go, you also get into that argument of, I'm playing Cunning Rock, so it takes me a half hour to do all my shooting.
Yeah.
Because some jerk won't let me use a dice rolling app. Now all of a sudden it goes to your saves, and you're having to roll, 457 saves.
Yeah.
So does the time go to you? Do we flip it? Are we going to have rules about when to flip the clock? Like if you have dice in your hand, is it your clock?
I know what's to stop me from taking forever to roll all my saves.
And that's right. It's your time. So I'll just be like, oh, I'm going to roll for that model now. Poof. You could game it. And so I don't think chess clocks are the ultimate answer. I certainly don't think round timing, giving each person, X amount per round, I don't think that works. I really don't think those work.
Yeah, because there's some armies that just would not. Look at KO. If somebody played the Gary Percival's Clown Car.
Yeah.
The first round, he says my first turn takes forever.
That's right.
And then the game's over like 10 minutes later because either I pulled off my charges and tabled you, or I didn't, and you tabled me.
And you tabled me.
So overall, our game lasted an hour, but that first turn is excruciatingly long.
That's
so
right.
it's, But I don't like that.
There's also that whole thing about any kind of timing issue. It does scare the bejesus out of new players.
Yeah.
And that's always an issue. And I know there's a lot of people that say new players shouldn't be coming to tournaments.
No, screw that. I hate that mentality.
Exactly. That's a wrong attitude. New players should come to tournaments because you know what? They're not going to bother the top table guys after round 1 or round 2 at the worst. And they're going to go have fun and they're going to learn a lot of games and they're going to make friends. Yep. And we all started being that guy.
We all had our first tournament.
That's right.
Yeah.
So
that's why like responses like learn to play better or such horse crap.
Are such crap.
You know, it's I remember my first tournament, my first big, not like your local 8 or 12 man tournament at your store. I'm talking like I went to the Lone Wolf GT in 8th edition and it was like 108 people or something, which was, it was huge. And I had been playing, I mean, we played Warhammer every week. I knew what my army did. I knew what I was there to do. And still you start that first game and it's like, you know, you try and remember what the pack says, even if it's just straight up missions. You try and remember what your army does because you're kind of out of your element. You're not playing with the boys down at the store.
Right, yeah.
And then you're trying to remember your etiquette and everything and not be a dick to the guy.
Picking up your misses and not your hits. And
it's
just simple things.
Little things that can really throw you out. And it might be until your second or third game until you get comfortable.
You hit that
You're in
stride,
a room filled with people you don't know. Yeah. You know, the guy I came with, he's here, but he's, you know, on the other side. Yeah, he's on the other side of the room, so it's not like we can chat or anything. And it can be a little overwhelming. So you gotta keep that in mind as well.
And there's that intimidation factor for my first tournament game in AOS, like you said, at a big tournament, was against Ben Moley.
Oh, yeah.
So my initial thought was, wow, I'm going to get tabled on turn 1. This is awesome. But to his credit, he turned it into a great game, knowing all the while at any moment he could table me when he wanted to. But instead, he chose to make it a good 5-turn game where we both had a lot of fun. So I give him huge credit for that. But, you know, your first opponent's not always going to be that guy.
Right.
It's not always going to be that. You may run into that guy who's like, screw this idiot. I'm tabling him and giving him a lousy sports score.
Oh, it's your first time being at a tournament? Sweet.
Yeah.
Let me smash you.
Come here, baby seal.
So that I can launch myself into the next tier or whatever.
That's right.
Yeah.
So the next kind of set of notes I have for slow play in Age of Sigmar or whatever game you play is maybe it comes more down to the players rather than the organizers, because we bashed organizers for a little while. So now let's bash some players. And, you know, the biggest thing, and everybody says this all the time, know your damned army.
Yeah.
Know how to play it.
You don't always have to know your opponent's army. It's going to help you to know as much as you can about your opponent's army. And
that comes with time.
Yeah. But
that comes with experience.
You need to know what your army does. Even if it's your first time playing it and stuff, that's fine.
Have
but
the cards.
Read the book before. Read it on the drive to the tournament or something. Yeah. And if there's ways that you can simplify things by if they make cards, you know, for your army,
buy them.
Have them nearby, whip out a little notebook. You know, if you're playing a theme, or I shouldn't say a themed army, but an army that operates a certain way, you know, write down how it works so that you can just sit there and check it and go, you know,
Make
like,
sure
okay, my hero phase, this unit needs to do this for this unit needs to do this for this unit so that I don't forget. And then I'm not putting pressure on my opponent to say, oh, I know it's the charge I'm supposed to be charging, but back in my hero phase, I really meant to do this kind of stuff. No, it's because you're going to forget stuff like that if you just try to keep it all in your head and it's your first event or something like that. Write it down, make it obvious to yourself. You know,
it's huge to do little things like that. As much fun and great as it is to have all your stuff on the iPad, it's not always as easy as you think to scroll through the different war scrolls and battalions and what have you. Even when you're in the My Battle section, it's not as easy and quick as you think. Sometimes it's really good to have the book. And, you know, hell, I've seen people that tear the pages out of the book and have them in a binder so that they can just flip through them. And of course, you know, everybody makes cards, and whatever system works for you, just have something that you can relate to until you know your army inside and out, until you know every I hit on a 3, wound on a 4, and you can do it from memory. But even when you're doing it from memory, be careful because the fact might be there, and you didn't know that all of a sudden these guys now hit on a 5. Yep. Oh shit! Now I've been cheating the whole tournament.
Yep.
So, another thing, and this comes up not as often, but don't waste time arguing about a rule with somebody, your opponent. Not only are you showing sort of a bad side of yourself, but I mean, if you can't prove your point with the hard, fast rule in a couple of minutes, just dice it off or just give in and say, you know what, you're right. I'll take it back.
The vast majority of rules can be solved by just reading your book.
That's right. And like I said, if you can't prove your point, if it's so esoteric that you can't prove it, and dice it off. It's not worth arguing and getting everybody's,
Well, and I can tell you from a TO's perspective, if it's not in your book and you've checked and it's not in your book and you've checked and it's not in the FAQ, TOs are almost always going to go with the most conservative approach, whatever is not going to be crazy over the top. So that, I mean, if it kind of makes sense. To do it one way, then that's probably where the TO's going to go.
If it makes you feel slimy for talking about it, probably shouldn't be doing it. Yeah. I hate to bring up those 8th edition flashback PTSD moments for you guys, but if you have that double cunning ruck, have some movement trays. It just makes your life easy, everybody's life. And I know, you don't have to have the little rank on rank things or anything. You can have the cool wooden ones, and maybe you don't want to spend that much money. Have something that you can move your guys in a block when it doesn't matter. Now, there's going to come a point where you have to spread out and you have to do certain things because you're trying to cover an area or you're trying to reach out and touch your buff guy. I understand that, and that's going to take a little more time. But for the generic first turn, I'm pushing 60, 120 goblin grots forward. Have them on a tray, and you don't have to measure each guy. Measure the front one and then just move the rest. Yeah. I'm never going to call you for, I think that guy was 3 millimeters. No, let's measure that. Yeah, no, let's not. Okay.
Yeah, I'm kind of, cause I've hated movement trays coming back into AOS. But as I'm starting to collect a death army, and I'm a big fan of the death rattle stuff.
You're looking at movement trays, pal.
I might be looking at movement trays. So,
and if you go to Death Ray Designs, if you go to Tectonicraft Studios, Six Squared Studios, Dave Whitetek's buddies, if you look at the ones they have them for so many different formations now. They have them where they're all bunched up. They have them where you're just in coherency, so you can stretch your lines out. And, still be complying with all the rules. And the best part of a movement tray is once everybody knows that those guys are X inches apart, there's no more question. Are they, are those guys in coherency? Well, yeah, they're in the little squares. Damn it. Or circles. Yes, they are. So they're helpful. Don't poo-poo them just cause.
Yeah.
Another thing, and I've seen this with a guy that did the Cunning Ruck last year, where he had all of the dice for each Cunning Ruck in a tub, and they were ready to roll. And when somebody from the ruck died, he just pulled out those number of dice. That way he wasn't counting 120 dice.
This seems to be a pretty common thing coming up now with people who are serious about playing Cunning Ruck in a tournament. Yeah. They have the dice situation. Yeah.
They have them in the Tupperware thing and they just turn it over, pop the top off, and there's all the dice.
Yeah.
That's really smart play. That's really smart, fast play, and everybody appreciates it. So, everybody that doesn't let you use a dice rolling app because they're grognards and they're stuck in the 50s.
And does anybody really appreciate having to play Cunning Ruck?
That's a good point. Okay. Let's not be mean.
Yeah.
Another thing about, having dice like in a container like the Cunning Ruck guys do is, one thing I always try to do is I have my dice set up in little piles of 5. So when it's my time to roll and you tell me, I took 7 hits, I need to roll 7 saves, I can just grab 1 pile and 2 dice. And, I'm not sitting there trying to pick through for my 7 favorite save dice. No, don't do that. That's stupid.
You mean you don't have a set of dice that you roll, and when you're not getting the results you want, you go find all your other sets of dice and roll them until you start getting results you like and then use that set of dice?
No, I don't do that.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So, just a little organization on your side helps a little. Another thing that you can do when it comes to combat and charging and all that stuff is if your chaff unit gets charged by the other guy's beat face, I'm going to kill you unit, maybe just agree not to even do the combat. You know, if my unit of 10 skeletons gets charged by your unit of 30 bloodthirsters.
Bloodthirsters?
Yeah.
Damn.
So.
Are we talking about open play here?
Oh, yeah. Bloodletters. Wow. 30 bloodthirsters. Wow, I got a cool army.
Yeah. Jeez.
Look, Mom. Okay. How about bloodletters? Yeah. Okay. I mean, you pretty much know how that one's going to end. There's a chance. You're right. There's a chance that a skeleton could survive. Yeah, there's a chance. Let's just take that unit off and we'll call it good. You know, maybe save everybody a little bit of time. I know it's anticlimactic and we all like to roll 700 dice, but maybe that's not helping us get through this game faster. So, just a thought. Having a 9-inch measuring stick.
Oh, okay, yeah.
You know, they come with the GW, the General's Handbook Warlord Edition came with 2 9-inch measuring sticks.
Oh, yeah, and we all bought that, didn't we?
Well, I did. And you also have the Corsac Engineering. They have the little...
Yeah, those are
and
pretty
there's
sweet.
So many places where you can get a 9-inch, just measure a 9-inch dowel, for God's sake.
Yep.
And bring it with you, because so many things in this game are now based on 9 inches, 3 inches, 1 inch, and 2 inch.
And they make little measuring, the malign portents, $10
right.
for a little piece of rubber, looks great.
Or if you're cool, get the pure Sigmarite one for $30. Whatever. I'm just saying.
33.
33.
Yeah, and it has a 3-inch, 2-inch, 1-inch, and ½ inch.
That's right. And
already measured on it.
Yeah, you have to have those to make your games go a little quicker.
And if you have an army that does other things, like I know like Skaven got some weird stuff that's like 13-inch based. Sure. The new army behind you, Nurgle has all kinds of stuff
7
based
inch,
on 7,
14 inch, 21 inch.
Yeah.
And that's why I really recommend the Corsac Engineering. They come in 1-inch sections that screw together.
Yep.
And they're all multicolored, so you can see exactly what it is. They're perfect for whatever faction you happen to be working with. And yeah, I already have a 7-inch stick made up, and I have 3 of those so that I can connect it to make a 14-inch, because most of my spells are 14 inches.
14.
So it just makes it easier than sitting there pulling the tape measure every time.
Yep.
So the next thing I wanted to touch on is something that Elric, who I will now refer to as the 1960 guy, doesn't like, and that's dice rolling apps.
Yep.
Don't
like them.
Okay, I'm completely
understanding. It's a dice rolling game.
Yes, it is a dice rolling game, and the dice rolling app does roll dice.
Yep, but not actual dice.
Yes, but not actual dice. But who cares?
The people playing the game.
Yeah, well.
Then why don't we just simulate everything on an app?
Okay.
The whole game.
So unlike some grognards, if you look at the Combat Dice app from Games Workshop and you do a little bit of research, you'll find out that the way they designed that app, it's physics-based, it's not a random number generator. The app actually physically models the dice and then throws them into a rolling tray, which is why if you watch the app and you dial it up to do, say, 120 dice, you get some really weird effects as the dice roll around a little bit. So, but what you end up having is your dice rolls are resolved in about 1/10 of the time as rolling hand dice. Now, I don't suggest a dice rolling app for each individual saving throw, or I'm rolling for my spells, so I'm going to roll 2 dice on the app. No, don't do that. Roll your dice. But when you are doing the Cunning Ruck, when you are doing shot from 30 Arcanauts, use the damn dice rolling app. It's so much easier. And ignore those people that look at you like you're, from this century. I know how much you hate them, but they do help. And I will lead a charge to bring dice rolling apps into the game. So
you do that.
Last but not least on our slow play thing is I think we need to end not so much on a solution, but a question. And that is slow play as big of an issue as the community's making it out to be? And that being, what I'm getting at here is, do players just want to have a good game, even if it only goes 3 turns, or do they demand a 5-turn game? Now, I know it kind of is going to go by what army you play, but what's more important? To have 3 good turns that we were both engaged and having fun and laughing and joking, or playing dead serious because we're in a tournament setting, but we got 3 good solid turns in? Or does it come down to, if I don't get 5 turns in, I feel like I got ripped off?
Do you want me to answer that, or is that an open-ended
well,
question?
No, I want to hear your feelings on it, but I'd also like to hear everyone else's feelings.
Right.
Is the very small percentage of people that have podcasts and YouTube channels generating a issue that most of the people that are really playing the game don't care about?
Well, I would say based on the general hubbub at the Las Vegas Open, I think slow play is an issue.
Among competitive players.
Yeah, sure.
And I'm throwing that out there just to be that negative Nancy. I'm not saying that. No, but what I'm saying is there's probably a big community of people that don't give a crap. But in the venue that we're looking at, it is an issue. And I know the answer. It is an issue.
Yeah.
But is it really? Now discuss. Sorry.
All right. So, yeah, I do think it's an issue. But I think the real question is how many people are doing it because they are not fully comfortable with either the rules of the game, the tournament setting, the rules of their army, etc., and how many people are doing it as a tactic.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know that both instances come up. Yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely something we got to look at, and we got to try to find a solution too. I don't know exactly what the perfect solution is. I don't know if there is one.
Yeah.
I think we've touched on some good ideas, making the time that's remaining.
Yeah.
That
available
information more readily available.
Play faster.
And that's on the TO. Maybe streamline your packs a little more, potentially. I know it's depending on what kind of event you want to run. Mm-hmm. If you want to run something crazy like Holy Havoc or whatever, where there's all kinds of, fun, over-the-top stuff,
sure.
Whatever you want to do, or Realms of War, yeah. Realms at War, all those fun narrative events.
Yep.
Obviously, yeah.
But I don't think they look at time as so much of a factor in those games either.
But if you're doing a much larger, more competitive event or whatever you want to call it, you might want to look at trimming the fat on your pack a little bit to streamline that. Those are on the TEO's side. Mm-hmm. On the player's side, read the effing pack before you play.
How many
I cannot
times
stress that enough.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and learn your army. Yeah. Even if you have never put the models on the table, you still got access to the book.
That's right.
You sure as hell have access to the war scrolls on
Otherwise, you wouldn't have built that army.
Yeah, so read what your army does and know what you want to do, and try to at least theory hammer a little bit about potential. It doesn't take much research. If you're going to take the time to go to a big event, something that's like 40, 50 players plus or whatever, do a little research. Understand what the meta is a little bit. Like, oh yeah, there's probably going to be some Stormcast players here. Okay, what is my army going to do against Stormcast? That's right. Think about it.
And you can set it up on the kitchen table.
Yeah.
And just kind of run through it. And yes, you can use bottle caps for, Liberators and different colored body caps
just trying to theory hammer here.
Yeah, prosecutors.
Put a little bit of the onus on yourself to know what your army can do and so that you can get more comfortably through your games.
Yeah.
So that I think that's on the player a little bit.
And just be ready. When it's your opponent's turn, be thinking about what you're going to do in your turn.
Yeah.
Don't just go get a beer or, go to the bathroom and come back 10 minutes later. He might be waiting for you to come back because he needs to roll some important dice.
I've had that happen.
He can't do them until you're there.
Your opponent just
Stay
wanders
at the game.
off.
Don't get into your phone and start, jacking with your friends going, hey, man, look at me.
Yeah.
So.
And then sports.
Yeah.
I think bringing some form of sports has got to be a thing.
And it will have a huge impact on slow play.
That's a completely different show to talk about that. But I think in some flavor, sports has got to come
Soft scores have to be in there somehow. So let's wrap this up with, the question goes out to you guys as well is this really an issue? And if it is an issue, what are your thoughts on fixing it? There's no golden bullet. We're not going to shoot this one dead just because we spoke it. But what are your thoughts? What do you guys think?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Do you think it's an issue? And if so, what are some potential solutions you think? Or what are some things that, if you've ever seen this be a thing in your scene before and now it's not so much, how do you feel?
How did it work?
What do you think changed that? Stuff like that. So
we're going to take a quick break that you won't know about, and we're going to come back and talk about Nagash. because he's kind of cool.
Is he, though?
Yeah, he really is. Well, he's black and purple, and he's dead. He's cool.
So now we're going to move on to our Legions of Nagash. Not really review, because we're not going to delve into the units.
No, it's kind of a lore.
Yeah, I just want to talk about the well, not the fluff, but, the juicy bits, the story bits.
Background story.
Yeah.
Who is Nagash?
An a-hole.
Hey! Don't say that.
Now, I have to say, after reading this book, I think Shaiish is my favorite realm.
Oh, yeah.
It's so good. It's so rich. I mean, the way they're taking this stuff and fleshing it out now is just incredible.
If they start doing all the realms with this treatment, it's going to be
fantastic.
People are going to say, "Old world, what?"
Well,
I mean, because this is so amazingly deep, and we all know Nagash and how he came to be Nagash.
Yeah.
But picking that story up at the end of the world and seeing where he has, bided his time and done all these things to become a guy who's going to be, a Pepsi generation guy, a mover and a shaker,
Yeah.
Oh, such great writing in here.
Well, and I like how it's not just about Nagash either. It really delves into how that realm works. And Malign Portents does more as well, talking about Shaiish, but we'll just focus on the stuff that was in Legions and how different groups of people, their beliefs create different afterlives that reside within the realm of Shaiish, and how as those cultures fade away, those afterlives fade away as well and no longer exist. It's really cool.
And it's a great way to finally get rid of Tomb Kings. Sorry.
Right.
Tyler Mengel's right now going, I'm going to kill you.
It still works. Watch, I'll show you. I also like it because they did hint at when, they were talking about Legions of Nagash coming out, how they want to do other death armies. So like neutral style death or good death, how it can still work because there are other gods of death that exist. It's just that Nagash goes around trying to kill them and absorb their power. And he's done a pretty good job of it. But it doesn't mean there aren't others out there that can rival him.
Well, and in the lore itself, in this one, they leave a huge hook for anything they want to do in the future, because they talk about how, Sigmar is stealing souls, and what's his name? Slanesh was stealing souls.
The elves.
The elves.
Malarian and
Teclis
got
Tyrion.
Slanesh. It doesn't really mention Teclis, but it's Tyrion and Malarian that are running around because they captured Slanesh.
Yeah, and they're leeching off those souls. But then they said, and there's also another slow trickle of souls leaving, and Nagash knows about it.
But he's upset, where they're going.
And he's trying to figure out where the heck they're going. So there's somebody else out there, or groups out there, and he's like, no, people, you got to understand. You don't cross me, okay? Sigmar tried, and look where he is now.
See, this is what I love about Nagash, right? It's like, he got his whipped a bunch of times in the world that was by everybody. And then he comes over to Age of Sigmar, and Sigmar, being the genius that he is, revives Nagash to let him rule Shaiish.
Yeah, because I need good guardians.
Yeah, because he's what an idiot.
I trust this guy.
And he built his pantheon. And then Nagash, thinking that he's super powerful, he's on this massive ego trip, stabs Sigmar in the back, only to have Archeon absolutely slap him and almost end his existence if it wasn't for his Mortarks coming in the last second to save what remained of him.
What remained of his bacon.
Yeah. So it's just funny that Nagash thinks he's so infinitely powerful, and the book does a great job of talking about how he's like this all-powerful god that walks around and does whatever he wants. And it's like, but
But
he just keeps getting his kicked.
Pretty much, if you have a sword that's over 2 foot long, you've either killed Nagash or you're going to.
Right. It's like, yeah, he did a really good job of wiping out these like communities or whatever that don't really matter. Yeah. Oh, you're a big guy, aren't you? You really put them in place, didn't you?
You beat up the village of Schmuck. Yeah, great.
Like, but let's see what you do against, Gorka Morka or Sigmar or Alariel or any of these others.
Oh, But yeah, you're right. The writing in the book, they do portray him almost, it's not tongue in cheek, but they do pump him up as this super god being, while at the same time talking about every time he got his head caved in.
Yeah.
And it's just...
Well, and then, you talk about how, like, because all the references to Sigmar are Sigmar the Soul Thief.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And then, he talks about, or the book talks about how Tyrion and Malarian are stealing souls.
Yeah.
Slanesh
stealing got so souls. Fat from stealing souls.
Marathi. Yeah. Stealing souls.
Well, Marathi was stealing the souls after Slanesh got imprisoned.
But ultimately, she still stole them because they didn't come to their rightful owner.
End up with Nagash.
But Nagash doesn't, all he does is use them to fuel his power.
Right.
He's not a guardian of the dead. He's not a god of the dead. He just feeds on he's a leech.
Yes.
He's nothing more than a cancer on the dead.
Yes.
That absorbs all their power to fuel his ego trip.
That's right.
So that's why I like the idea of like there's other potential contenders for Shyish out there that they totally have the ability to bring into the game later on. Like we were saying, if you know the past of Nagash, that's where he started. He was just a punk human.
He was just a punk
that was taught how to cast spells by a dark elf.
Yeah.
And then he slowly rose to power, blah, 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 and then started killing gods and absorbing their powers. But there's nothing stopping somebody else out there. If you read the 8 Lamentations, the first one deals with a spear that even the 4 Chaos gods are afraid of because all you got to do is say corn and throw.
Yeah.
And whoops.
Oopsie.
Yeah. So it'll be very interesting to see if they ever do anything crazy with.
I kind of, in reading the lore section of this book, you see so many plot hooks that they have left wide open in that Games Workshop way.
Yeah.
Of giving you the tidbits. Like they said, even on the developer interview on the Twitch stream, he talks about how, we mention, Teclis and Tyrion taking Slanesh and blah, blah, blah. And there's more to come.
Yeah. They've finally gotten Age of Sigmar to that point where very much like the old world or 40K where, we'll answer that question with 2 more potential questions you're going to ask, kind of stuff. And
it's crazy because, now you have the elves stealing souls from
But are they stealing? I don't think they're stealing souls from a guy that's just going to consume them.
And that's the thing. He's the only one that says he controls all the souls.
Yeah.
Nobody else has ever said, well, you're right. We're kind of doing you a little. No one's ever said that. And one of the things they even bring out in this is Sigmar's belief in all of this is they were never yours to begin with. So shut up.
Yeah. Like, well, why don't you go hash that one out with Slanesh face to face?
Yeah.
And see. Yeah. Why don't you go collect that debt?
Exactly. So, it's just, you're just like, wow, this guy is so full of himself. But it makes him such a cool, deep character because you can see that he is just so pumped on his own press. He believes everything that's written about him. And, the people do worship the you-know-what out of him in Shyish because, he's always, almost always protected them from the depredations of Nurgle and Khorne.
Except when he didn't. When he got his whip,
But now he's bringing it all back.
Yeah.
There's a great scene in there, where he's reestablishing Nagashazar, the big city, and talking about it's going to take generations to rebuild after Archaon smashed it into, little tiny chunks of nothing. But he's got all of his guys out looking for, what is it, Shadestone or? Gravesand.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. It's like a big crux. I should know this. But, he's got everybody out gathering that stuff, and he's got the upside down pyramids everywhere.
And he's building more. Yeah. Because it started off with just one huge one, and now he's putting them in key spots.
So he's got a plan.
Yeah.
And it's going to be interesting to see how they unravel it, because
Yeah, I mean, he had a plan before.
Yeah.
And then he had a plan before that.
Sure. He's always got a plan
before that. I mean,
the only problem with his plan that he forgets is anybody with a sword can pretty much cave my skull.
Well, the Skaven took him down. Yeah. Sigmar took him down. Archaon took him down.
I mean, you're really not a player unless you've killed Nagash.
Yeah, really.
They don't look at you and say, "Hey, player."
He's a gatekeeper.
Yeah.
He's a gatekeeper.
He is. He really is. But, in the book, he's like, he's the great god of the undead, and where he walks,
you'll all bow to me eventually.
Okay. Yeah, you keep believing your press reports, pal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He really is like...
He's the Trump of...
He really is.
He's building a wall, and he's going to make Sigmar pay for it. Sorry, the political moment just snuck in there.
Yeah. Nagash has the best brain. But on the flip side to that, his rules... He is a badass.
Oh my.
And they took him from about a 3 on a scale of 10 to about a 9.5.
Yeah, well, because
He's
they
a beast.
Kind of acknowledged that all his rules didn't really work in match
right.
play.
They didn't.
And so they got rid of a lot of that stuff. And now, whew, and by giving him the lore of the dead.
Yes.
And he can pick 3 spells from it, on top of knowing 4 spells already
right.
and being able to cast 8
and
spells.
And casting anything that anyone else knows.
Any Death Wizard, yeah.
I'm sorry, any
And
death.
his command ability affects the entire table.
Yeah, that is just crazy. Yeah. He's got the only command ability that affects the table. Well,
Archaon.
No, not the only one. Yeah, Archaon does. And I believe the Beastclaw one. No, that's 14 inches.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that is a super powerful... They really have made him, and they dropped his points by 100, so he's only 800 now.
Yeah, which is a lot.
He's still the centerpiece of your army, but he's a centerpiece that's not going to go away on turn 2 or turn 3. I mean, he's going to survive he will earn back his points. I truly believe he will. If nothing else, in shutting down every other magic user in the game, because his ability to unbind 8 spells when he's unhurt with a +3 to unbinding.
Yep.
Yeah, that's
pretty tasty.
Come here, Lord of Change. How bad do you really think you are?
You're going to burn through those fate dice quick.
Yeah, you will.
So,
little girlfriend. You little feathered girlfriend.
Yeah, I'm pretty pumped about playing him and Archaon. I love Archaon. I know he's the whipping boy of Nagash, but I love him. One of my favorite.
Archaon. I thought you were saying Archaon. I'm like,
no.
Boy, what are you?
No, Archaon the Black.
Okay, Archaon the Black. Yeah.
One of my favorite bits of the End Times, the Nagash End Times book, was when Archaon squared off against Heinrich Himmler, the Lich Master. Yeah. And Archaon was pretty bad.
I like all the Mortarks. I really, and the treatment that they were given in the lore here is one of the things that always used to bug me. Was Baron von Karstein there was always made out to be the joke of vampires. He was the...
Oh, Manfred?
Yeah, Manfred.
Manfred? Okay, yeah.
He was always kind of almost a joke. Well, they've removed the funny from him. And of course, what's her name is Neferata. Absolutely, Neferata. Why I never remember names.
Yeah, in the End Times they were, because there's a scene in the End Times where Neferata fights goblins and gets her.
Oh my!
Yeah,
because apparently, despite being this like centuries old vampire, she doesn't know anything about battle,
right?
And she gets outsmarted and smashed by goblins. Whereas now, she's very capable of running an army, as well as the whole court intrigue.
Oh yeah,
stuff. And Manfred, it's kind of interesting because in the beginning, like if you listen to the audio books it's the audio drama series, that involves Manfred. There seems like moments. And Manfred has always been a treacherous bastard.
Oh, yeah.
The whole old world exploded because of Manfred and his treachery. And in that audio drama series, there are points where almost makes you feel like he might side with the Stormcast against Nagash.
Yeah.
But then Nagash is like, that's funny. You think you're going to do that.
Yeah.
But ultimately, you're going to do what I tell you
That's
to.
right.
And now it's like, no, he's on board with Nagash. He's still Manfred, but he is a mean, nasty.
All of them, the three of them are.
Yeah, they're bastards.
and the way the story is crafted in this lore section, it's so well done because they retain, like you said, they retain their personalities, but for one reason or another, they are in Nagash's camp 100% right now. I mean, at least.
Well, yeah, they don't have a choice.
At the end of this book, they are seriously in his camp, and they aren't going to be turning on him anytime soon.
Yeah.
Because, they actually cover the fact that everybody except Archon has tried to kill him. And now, Archon is the truly favored son. He gets whatever he wants. The other two may only be in it for the fact that I have to be in it.
Yeah, but he's always given the worst assignments, too.
Oh, yeah.
Like the
Manfred
most difficult.
Yeah. Wow.
One other interesting thing that I read was the Flesh Eater courts do not necessarily bow to Nagash.
Yeah.
They are an ally.
That's right.
Which I thought was kind of interesting.
And very well done.
Yeah. And about how...
And it's because they're not dead.
They're not dead.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is very interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they already have one delusion. They don't need another one.
Yeah. So, I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, and it does. It's like I said, it's another one of those open plot points that you can drive any truck you want through. So when they want to do something, when GW wants to have an in, and like you said, maybe even create a good death force, you have an option now. You can do it.
Yeah.
You can actually have a Flesh Eater court that wakes up and goes, hey, we really are good guys now. So, maybe we're dead, but we'll help you out. So,
yeah.
I mean, there's all kinds of different ways they can bring it in.
Yeah. I'm pretty pumped.
Yeah. It's
pretty pumped. This book really jazzed me. I'm very curious to read the background for Daughters of Cain. I hate Marathi. I always have. I'm very curious to see what this means for Slaanesh and elves, and apparently, potentially, this like sea elf thing.
Yeah.
I finally, my interest in Age of Sigmar is finally
it's
back to where it needs to be.
Yeah, I've gone from that, and we were talking about this earlier. I've gone from a point to where I was very in a very bad place. Yeah. Well, I mean, there was no releases. There was everything I was playing was not on the back foot. It didn't have a foot.
Yeah. And
because I was playing Death and Beastclaw, and Beastclaw really needed a big nerf, so they got it. Because they were winning everything. Oh, yeah. Wait, no. I was just in a really, I was in a funk. I didn't even want to
and the meta was kind of stagnant.
Yeah, super bad. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
And these last, 3 releases have just been, oh my God, this is fun again. And they're blowing all the stuff wide open. I think you're going to see some amazing lists come out of the Nurgle book and the Legions book. And they're going to give Chaos folks a run for their money. They're going to give Stormcast a run for their money.
I certainly hope so, yeah.
I'm looking at just the pure matchup of Legion versus Stormcast with spells versus prayers, with Stormcast not able to do a damn thing against Nagash's spells, or Arcane spell, or anybody's spells, not being able to unbind except maybe one, depending on if you take the right character. They're going to be running rampant, and the thing with the graveyards all over the board, and summoning working the way it works for Death now.
Well, so I know we weren't going to touch too much on
on gameplay,
but I do have to say the 2 things that I read out of the book mechanically that I don't want to say down on, or that I don't like, that just kind of caught me off a little bit, was the way summoning works now, where I feel like it's not as useful for Death. So, because you have to write down what you're summoning on your list before you even play.
Right.
So you lose that toolbox. Because it used to be, I could just put points aside.
Right.
And if I need a unit, I can summon a unit. If I need a character, I can summon a character. You can't do that anymore.
Yeah.
And it has to be, the areas at which you can deploy these things is very limited.
Right.
Okay. So I think that aspect of the grave sites, not so great. But the fact that you can place 2 of them in your deployment zone and 2 of them anywhere on the table,
else.
It means that if you're playing something like, is it Knife to the Heart? No, Duality of Death.
Duality of Death.
Where there's 2 objectives in the
middle. You're going to cover both of them.
You could put 2 grave sites by each of them.
Yep.
And so all of your units are getting 2D3 units back. All your summonable units can get 2D3 models back from standing on objectives right there, plus your character standing there giving them more models back. That aspect is really cool.
Yes.
And then the other one that I wasn't big on, I think I'll have to see how they play and get more feedback and stuff, is because they didn't change points for like anything.
Right.
With this book release, which I thought was interesting. I feel like Morghasts, where they are right now, they should either come down in points or go up, because they're 220 for 2.
Yeah.
And you can't summon them anymore. And they don't have the summonable keyword.
Yeah.
I think they should either come down a little bit or go up to like 240, possibly 260, and gain the summonable keyword.
Summonable. Yep.
I'm wondering, that might be crazy. Again, I think I'd need more feedback to see how they actually play out and stuff like that.
Testing.
Yeah.
We would have to do.
But I feel like 220 for 2 at the moment is a little much, considering
the only
Skyfires is 200, kind of stuff like that.
But the only thing that they're totally worth it for is eating wounds for Nagash.
I don't think that's a very good thing. I don't think the first cohort is a terribly good formation.
Really?
Yeah, so it gives you 2 abilities. One is to shovel hits off Nagash onto Morghasts. On a 4-up.
Yeah.
He already has a 3-up save.
Right.
Or no, it does it on a 3-up. Sorry. On a 3+, you can allocate a hit to Nagash onto a Morghast.
Yeah.
That is within 9 inches or so. I can't remember the range. He already has a 3-up save, and then he has a 4-up against mortal wounds.
Right.
So usually you're going to put mortal wounds off because you already have a save that's good enough. The thing is, it's only 16% chance better. Like, why not just take it on your 4-up and save the points that you were going to spend on the first cohort?
But those points don't do the damage that a Morghast does. Because at the same time that they're potentially eating wounds to keep you from going down a band. Because the only time you're really going to use that power is when you're in danger of going down a power band on Nagash. In one of the major ones, not the first one.
Yeah, but Nagash can heal himself.
That's right. And when he gets back, you still have the Morghast on the board doing damage, doing 5.
But you can't
heal.
You can't heal the Morghast.
I know.
There's one spell that you can potentially siphon wounds off.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that they're as good as they used to be. They're not.
Right.
But I think they're a good wound sink for those times when you don't want Nagash to go down a power band.
It's a lot of points for that ability.
Yeah, but
and then the other ability is on his ability to bring models back or wounds back to units that are summonable. He always gets 3.
Yeah,
as opposed to D3.
Yeah,
but he already has an ability that allows him to re-roll that die roll anyways. Yeah. So it just seems a lot. And the first cohort is the most expensive formation.
Sure,
and you're taking an 800-point character plus. You have to take a 220-point unit of Morghast, plus 3 units of either Skeletons, Graveyard, or Black Knights.
Yeah.
Really expensive.
It is.
It's potentially a 1-drop, which has its own uses.
That's right.
Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it's a really bad formation.
Yeah.
I'm just saying I don't think it's quite as good as a lot of people are jumping on right now.
I like it from just the pure look at it. I'd have to play it. Yeah. Before I said yes or no, but I just think the flexibility of insulating him from dropping a band before you're ready to heal him. And, that's always the problem is you take enough damage to drop you a band or 2, and it gets you to the point to where the heal doesn't put you where you want to be in the next hero phase. And the Morghast can eat that wound. I'm not saying they're going to eat every wound for him.
Sure.
Because that's a waste. And that's a waste of their abilities. But I don't know. I also like my Morghast. So,
yeah. I mean, I'm just saying, like, well, no, I guess it wouldn't be a very accurate comparison, but I was going to say that's what the gun hauler does for the Ironclad. And you don't exactly see gun haulers everywhere either.
Yeah.
But that's like,
yeah, it's not.
It's like comparing bowling balls to eggs.
But we weren't going to talk about the mechanics. We were going to talk about the lore. So we delved way into mechanics.
Yeah, I guess I'm really pumped about Shyish. So far, it's my favorite.
Oh, yeah.
They did a fantastic job of just doing a grand overlay of it and really giving it a good feel. Because, like back when they touched on the realm of Akshi, they were like, it's a realm that burns all the time, but doesn't necessarily burn. And trees grow there somehow. Yeah. But it's like this barren wasteland, and then Khorne owns like 99.9% of it, and there's like 6 humans left or something, and then they like retcon all of it. It's weird.
All the realms so far that they have detailed, even the realm of life, the detail has been sparse at best.
Yeah, and it's just been weird, like, because it felt like when we got Age of Sigmar, they were like, these are the mortal realms. And they're almost gone.
Yeah.
Like, chaos runs everything. Yeah. And now there's a last, like, ditch Hail Mary from Sigmar to try to save it. And then as we progress, it turns out, like, no, that's not the case.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, there's some realms that are pretty overrun by chaos, but that's not 100% the case.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I like it where it's at now.
Right. It much like better now.
Way more room to move around in.
And they so much slapped us forward 200 years, after the Realm Gate Wars, which allowed them to, like you said, retcon anything that needed
some of the stuff
serious.
That just didn't make sense.
Yeah. And I think this is really the first time they've done a realm, and they've done it top to bottom, front to back. This is how it works.
Yeah.
And if you're watching the Twitch TV stream, you can see that they're very careful and skillful about how they bring out different developers to talk about different things. And as they spoke about, they did a developer's corner with Phil Kelly on how the realms work. Well, if you think about it, that should have been done, 2 weeks after Age of Sigmar dropped. But they waited this long to do it because I think they're really ready now to set things in stone and say, we have a firm grasp of how they work now. And I don't think they really did before. I don't think they wanted to commit themselves to anything without knowing what it was going to do. And now they are ready. They have the story developed, and it's where they want it to be. So boom, here's the first book that talks about a realm, and bam, this is what it does.
Well, and plus,
and I think we'll see more of those.
We've touched on it before about how there was a bit of not miscommunication, but just kind of like a lack of miscommunication in the beginning between the main group of guys at GW proper and then like Black Library authors. And so they're like, here's kind of what it's about. Write a book. And it's like, how? Okay, I guess. And so, I mean, you can see that in the quality of writing, 2.5 years ago now compared to what we're getting now.
To the amazing stories
and how quickly they've ramped it up. And yeah, I think 2.5 years from now, it will be so, especially, I know we're kind of going off on a tangent, but especially when we start getting the role play stuff for this is really going to flesh out, because there was so much extra stuff added to the old world through the first, second, and even third edition fantasy role play. There'll probably be even more, because they're also doing an old world fantasy role play for people who still want to do that. That's perfectly fine. That's, if you want to live in the old world, I totally get it, but I'm
9th page.
Stop. But I think now, it's time to finally get more excited about the Mortal Realms and what we're going to get for that, too.
Well, and that's the biggie, is if you look at Legion of Nagash as the first peek into really hardcore into the Mortal Realms, boy, is this going to be a hell of a ride. Yeah. Because, I mean, they have a unlimited palette to work with, and the canvas is as big as the universe. That's what Phil Kelly was telling us when he did that Twitch thing, is
it's a near infinite space.
Yeah, we can do anything now, and the stuff that we detail is going to be detailed, and that leaves you, the rest of the universe to play with.
Yep.
If you want to do something, have at it. Which leads me to Coalescence 2018, which is coming down the pike. Stay tuned. Go to wearetheneon.com and you'll find out more stuff. And there's amazingly good content every day going up on that site. Sorry, I just had to work that in.
People do that?
Yeah.
What's Coalescence?
Coalescence 2018? It's a couple guys that are just throwing together a quickie scenario thing. You know, maybe a couple of scenarios here and there.
Is that more of that narrative stuff?
It is narrative. God. Yes.
Nobody pays attention to narrative. That's why you never see it on the stream.
Oh, yeah. Okay. That's it. I know when we signed off last time, we said we were going to have some of the movers and shakers from Coalescence 2018, but this thing came up with the slow play and the Legion and Nagash stuff came up, and we didn't have James here, so we couldn't bore him to tears with all the narrative stuff.
God, it's going to be so good.
We kind of wanted to save that for him. Yeah.
Just watch him play Pokemon Go the whole time.
Yeah. Are we done covering Nagash?
Yeah.
Shyish.
Yeah. It definitely has me pumped for what's next.
Yeah, this book definitely gets like 2 thumbs and
2 bony thumbs.
1 nurgly appendage and 2 more bony thumbs up.
Yeah.
So
full on boner.
Yeah. Wow.
and the thing is it keeps rolling too, because the Malign Portents book came out, details Shyish even more.
Yeah.
And there's even more stuff constantly going up on the Malign Portents website. So
and if you want to read a book about the Malign Portents and Shyish and Nagash, and you want to know more, but you don't want to spend any money, go to the Malign Portents website, because they've written just about a full novel that they've released in these 1,000-word chunks.
So much.
And it has a ton of history, and you'll find out if you really are touched by this kind of stuff, and you might want to, check it out before you go and plunk the money down on the books, but they're definitely worth it.
Yeah.
But there's about a full novel almost on there now of free stories that they're using to be the background for Malign Portents, and it will give you a good overview of how death kind of dies.
Well, even the Malign Portents book is only $10 on the app, the digital.
Yeah, it's $9.99 on the digital app. So
I mean, heck yeah.
Yep. So these are definitely huge, great values. So again, we are theneon.com. Great stuff coming out all the time. Hopefully either next time or the time after, we're going to have some of the movers and shakers from Coalescence and talk about that huge worldwide campaign that's going to go on. We don't really want to touch on it too much when the other worldwide campaign is going on, like the one that kicked off 2 days ago.
Yeah.
So
we do have to make a winning announcement. It's been 2 episodes for the I Read AOS.
Alrighty then.
Yeah. So let's generate it up.
Right, sir. You tell me the numbers and I will tell you the numbers. Wait a minute. Does that sound right? Yeah.
Let's see how many we got on here today.
And just to let people know, our last winner, Zachary, was super pumped to have won.
Yep.
So we are happy that you won, and it's cool that we can do that kind of stuff.
And the winner of the I Read AOS book giveaway is Demon Hammer at Demon Hammer.
Yay!
So get in touch with us and let me know what AOS novel you would like, and I will make sure you get that. Yeah,
send us your deets.
Yep.
And you will definitely get a toy.
Remember to, if you're on Twitter, to use the hashtag IReadAOS tag, hashtag whatever, to get entered. And again, if you're not a social media person, that's fine. Send us an email, and I'll make sure your name gets thrown on the list.
That's right.
I also want to shout out Dan at AOS Shorts. He is doing his hashtag AOS 365, I think is what it's called. Every day this year, he is posting a little narrative blurb, a little
of narrative,
from the various books. So that's it's really cool, actually.
Yeah, it's kind of a neat way to throw some of the stuff out there and get people interested.
Yeah, it's like the kind of stuff you would see in a little sidebar in a White Dwarf.
Yeah,
just like a little.
Did you know?
Chunk of story. Yeah, that kind of stuff. So
did you know Nagash gets beaten up by everyone?
Yeah. So he's at he says Antipodean 7, right?
Yeah.
Antipodean.
7.
Yeah, I always say Antipodian.
Yeah.
But I'm American, so we got to like butcher every vowel in a word.
That's right.
Antipodean 7.
That's him.
Let's check it out. It's pretty cool.
He's got a great podcast.
Yep.
You go back
AOS
to his
shorts.
early stuff, and he'll teach you how to play AOS better. And the stuff he's doing now is a more in-depth sort of examination of different things. And he's covering really good stuff.
And I believe that is
do it.
Our show.
Yeah.
Roll the credits.
Right. Take care, folks.
If you would like to get a hold of us, you can reach us at our email address, which is rollingbadpodcast@gmail.com. You can also visit our website at rollingbad.com. We have a Twitter account for the podcast, which is @rolling_bad. We also have a Facebook page. You can just search for Rolling Bad on Facebook. We each have an individual Twitter account. You can reach me at Elric Edge.
You can get me at Bill Castello, Castello.